Hey, I'm Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and I am the designer of the game Vantage. Vantage is a 1 to 6 player cooperative adventure, exploration, discovery game where you crash land on a planet far from the other players, and using your location and your many locations that you'll move on to, you decide how you want to interact with this world. If you want to try to pursue the mission, the reason that you came to this planet, if you want to pursue a destiny, your final destination, you weren't expecting to crash, so now do you try to find a way back to your home planet? Do you decide to make a life for yourself here? Or anything else that is important to you while you play. I designed Vantage around this idea of freedom, about giving players the freedom to decide what they wanted to do, what was important to them, and how they wanted to accomplish that. And so my favorite mechanism for this game has to do with that. The core idea in Vantage, here's an idea of a location. So there are these first-person locations. We're spread out far across the planet, so I can see my location. You can't see where I am. There are over 800 different locations in the game. So I'm at this location. I can decide on this location to take one of the 6 location actions. I can simply depart from this location, take a move action to depart from this location to a different location. I can go north, south, east, or west. Or I can take an action on my grid. Each player starts out with a character in the middle of their grid, and they can take actions here on that card or any cards that they have in front of them on the table. And your grid will grow. You'll have some more actions on cards, more options, and things like that as you play. So this whole idea of freedom, this is all baked into the action system. So what exactly do I want to do? What's important to me? How do I want to interact with this location? You can do this mechanically. You can say, okay, well, my character is good at green. I'm good at helping the world. I'm good at making things, helping. And so I might decide, okay, well, on this action, so I can see where I am kind of in this lava field, the description, which I can read out loud to other players. They can't see what I see, but I can describe it to them. And the description says, a remarkable piece of technology hovers over the lava field. So I can read that out loud. And I can see the action here, the green action is repair. So I can say, okay, well, I'm good at green actions. I'm good at helping. I'll take that action. Or I can just decide what I want to do, whatever I want to do. I can choose any of these 6 actions, and that is that's okay for me to do. It says push, focus, activate, repair, hack, raise. I can choose any of those. Or I can say, this place looks pretty dangerous. Like if I move forward, I might get hurt on this lava. So I think I will just depart from this location. I'm going to go east. Hopefully east won't have all this lava around me. I can choose to do that. But the key that I found, and so this idea of giving players a ton of freedom of actions and motivations, this has been baked into Vantage from the initial design that I started 8 years ago. I'm recording this video in 2025. However, one thing that I didn't expect, and that happened when I started to playtest Vantage, which happened deep into the process. A lot of Vantage was built around actually creating this world with 3 amazing artists, Valentina, Soren, and Emilian. And so it was later in the process, after we had built this world, after we had populated it with all these locations and cards and things that you can find in the world, that I decided exactly how the action system would work. And what I found rather early in testing, what I thought would be the action system, is that in this adventure style game, it was really unsatisfying to perform an action to decide, okay, this is what's important to me. I really want to try to activate this technology. That's what I want to do. That's what feels right to me right now. To make that decision, to feel really good about that decision, and then to fail at doing so. That felt bad. And so I realized that the correct action system for Vantage is that actions always succeed. You always know going into an action that you're going to succeed. And that doesn't mean that it isn't a challenge. There's still plenty of challenge around that, because there's the challenge of using the information you have at hand, what you can see here, what you can read here, using that information to infer how difficult this challenge will be. What will the cost be? You don't know. It is not printed on this card. You have to actually use your eyes and your knowledge and your intuition and your shared knowledge. You can talk about it with the table as long as you want, probably not all that long, but a little bit, to decide how hard that action will be. And that difficulty determines how many of the challenge dice, these black dice here, how many of these dice that you'll need to roll to complete the action. Again, you always succeed. You know after making that decision that you are going to succeed at activating this technology. You don't know the output, you don't know the benefit, the result, you don't know the cost, but you will succeed. Say you find out that the cost is only 2. So I happen to have 2 dice here. So and I decide, okay, 2 isn't all that much. I'm not going to use my skills to reduce this cost. So you roll those challenge dice. And this is where the challenge comes in, because by rolling the challenge dice, you discover the challenges that you met while trying to accomplish this action. You succeeded, you will succeed, you'll get the benefit from the action, but along the way, you might spend more time activating that technology than you thought. You might be a little demoralized based on something about how it took to activate the technology. Or you might lose some health. You might step on that lava that I talked about and lose some health in trying to activate the technology. So you always succeed, but there are challenges that you face along the way, and the game is about mitigating those challenges, both in terms of what you infer about the cost, if you however much you want to infer that, and no matter, even if you decide this is going to be a rather difficult action, you can still decide to do it and work together with the players to mitigate the results. But also you have slots on your card. You can place, for example, my card here has a health slot, so I can place a health result there to mitigate that, to prevent the loss of a health. Or if I decide to take a green action, I can place any die here and avoid the result of that die. So there are many ways to mitigate the results of a die roll. But ultimately, again, you always succeed. Actions always succeed. And this is my favorite mechanism of Vantage. I really, really love this idea in Vantage, that when you try an action, you succeed at it. It keeps the game moving forward. And even there might be the feeling of failure sometimes, where you roll just 2 dice and you lose 2 time and you can't mitigate that and you can't get that time back. That time is spent, and that maybe pushes you towards losing the game. There might be that feeling. There is that feeling of difficulty and challenge and using your intuition. But at least you get to succeed. You're not investing in an action and then failing at doing so. Not in Vantage. So that is my favorite mechanism. There are many other mechanisms, many of them about spoilers in the game. Some of them just about the core action system that I love about the game. But the overall idea is that I love the freedom of choices and how that freedom is enabled by the confidence that players have going into an action that they are going to succeed. I have found that to be incredibly freeing in my plays and playtest of Vantage. And I look forward to hearing what you think about that mechanism in the comments below, especially after you play Vantage. But if you have any other games that you want to mention that use this type of mechanism, feel free to let me know as well. This mechanism was partially inspired by One Deck Dungeon, the game One Deck Dungeon, where you always succeed, but it is about mitigating the dice that you roll while trying to accomplish the action. So if you know of any other games like that, feel free to mention them in the comments below. Thanks.